This is Deuteronomy 28 and verse 54. So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave.
It was type, whoa. I'm like, well, that's what's up. What's up, man? How you doing, man?
What's that?
Nah, I was just saying, what's up? How you doing?
Yo, bro, you don't do that. You don't gangbang or nothing.
Nah.
You don't do that. You don't pull up in nobody park, all that shit. Nigga, we gangbangers. I'm holding crib, bro.
Nah, I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, though, bro. You don't. And then you talking about what's up, like, look, bro. You might be the police now.
Understood. I'ma leave. Nah, bro, I'ma leave. Nah, I will. I sure will. Sheesh. And nigga can't even see, bro. I'm chilling. I'm all like, what's up? Cause he in my goddamn face, you know? He, the most of you don't say what's up. I don't know what's up with niggas, but you don't just stare a nigga in their face and don't say shit. Talking about I might be police. Police is crazy. Yeah. Let me get up out this neighborhood. I'm in a hood where I don't know where I'm at. I'm all thinking I'm cool. I mean, I'm cool. But, look. You see, that be the problem for real. Like, it's a white person that just pulled up. Niggas would have never pressed that white person. But me, you had to see, you had to keep looking at me. You had to come pull up. You don't just come pull up in nobody heard. Nigga, there's a library in this fucking shit. It says public library. LA niggas are so corny, bro. Then this nigga rocking green. How I'm supposed to... Ugh, bruh. It was type 1.
Hey, shalom. Before I get even further with the lesson, Lord, let me be edifying, straight to the point. I want to face the east and give our praise, honor, and glory to our beautiful power, which is true and only name is, and the only begotten son name is Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught me this beautiful truth and being great leaders and examples for the nation of Israel. Honors to you brothers after labor in truth and sincerity. May it bless upon you and your households. Likewise, speckled birds out there that may look at the nation's face value, but indeed their spirit goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which indeed makes them Israelite. This is a spiritual thing, not a color thing at the end of the day. All right, and peace and blessing, of course, to the 1/3 remnant, man, women, and children that came back to the obedience of Yahweh, Yahushai. Peace and blessing, and shalom, and love to you and to you only. And this lesson right here is a beautiful highlight of the reason why I say fuck 66.6 of our of our people, you 2/3. Okay, you know, because majority of our people, they're considered wild bulls. Okay, brute beasts. That's what it is, brute beasts. Okay, you know. I'm just gonna get some scriptures. I'm gonna get this one. Jude 1 and verse 10, and it reads, "But these speak evil of these." Sakia. Jude 1 and verse 10. "But these speak evil of those things which they know not." Okay, which I could tie that into the truth. You know, but that's why Scripture says, "Woe unto that call evil good and good evil." All right. But what they know naturally as brute beasts, in those things they corrupt themselves. Yeah. Jake only knows how to terrorize their own people. You so-called Negroes, Latino Americans, you rappers, Jake that got money. At the end of the day, all you doing is flexing on the other Jake. Just like that. Excuse me. Regardless of that Jake was smoking weed, 'cause I think that Jake was rolling up and shit, which that's off. You know, that's beside the point. Okay. At the end of the day, that nigga was minding his business. Okay, Jake is a bunch of demons. And like I was about to say, he just, in that video, he said Esau was there. You know, and the scripture going to, when you find yourself in adversity, you find him there first. Talking about Esau, Edom. Okay, you know, I believe that's Ephesians. If I'm wrong, Salak. Okay, but yeah, man. And I'm saying that because at the end of the day, the reason why we in a fucked up situation, and the true enemy is the key word. The true enemy is the self-proclaimed white man. Okay, you know, and to you simple people, you know, anybody that's like, that's why I always open up and say the speckled birds. Okay, you know, I'm talking about if your seed line, your descendant, your seed line goes back to Esau, Edom. Okay, Edom. If it do, you're a devil. You're a deceiver, and and ultimately going to that, the Rothschilds, the banking families. Okay, you know, which Rothschild, which I, you know, us brothers in its truth, we know that goes into Red Shield. You know, simple, like I said. If you find yourself in adversity, you should find him there first. If we're truthfully, Slacky, I'm overthinking it, but you know, we Esau, Jake, the curses are real. Slacky, the curses are real, man. You know, that's all I'm gonna say. The curses are real. You know, that's why I brought out Deuteronomy 28. Okay, and what I believe 54. No, yeah, Deuteronomy 20 and 54, man. You know, evil eye towards our brother was a key point. You know. And Slacky, I'm not putting in words. I'm not putting in words. I know what I'm trying to say. I'm not putting in the right words. So forgive me. Let's get it. Jude 1 and verse 10. Let's continue. Lord, willing, straight to the point, edifying. But these speak evil of Slacky. I'm just getting excited. Jude 1 and verse 10. But these speak evil of those things which they know not, but what they know naturally, as brute beasts. In those things they corrupt themselves. Yeah, man. Jake know nothing but to terrorize them people. They just have to check a nigga that comes in the block. No, but let an Asian, Esau, Edom, any other nation come through. No, they're going to give them the utmost respect. Or just leave them alone, period. Okay? You know? You know, that's why it says, in those things, they corrupt themselves, man. You know, the Lord going to do away with you gang-banging ass niggas, man. Y'all niggas not tough. You know? You niggas really not tough. You know? I personally understand. I've been said this long time ago, since I'm on this the gang banging dumb shit, this Cali shit, you know, the spirit, the Lord got the spirit on me to do this lesson. The ones that's born into that shit, you know, and they just, that's all they know, all right, whatever. But the one, man, that's something I ain't gotta say all that shit, man. Now, that gang banging shit burnt the fuck out, man. No, I keep that shit to myself. All right, you know, the shit burnt out. Jude 1 and verse 11, woe unto them. Okay, woe goes into destruction. Woe unto them, for they have gone in the way of Cain, and ran greedily after the error of Bethlehem for reward, and perish in the gainsaying of Kor. Okay, so the point of the verse 10, you know, and our people do got the majority of people do got the spirit of Cain, a murderous, malicious spirit. You know, when you go to a malicious soul, that goes into somebody that wants to cause harm. You know, the majority of people, that's what they want to do. They want to cause harm because they're jealous of someone else that look just like them. Okay, and sometimes Jake, it's so bad, and I experienced this in the world. You know, shit, I experienced it in truth in the world. You know, Jake will have more than you, and Jake will still hate you. You know, because of ultimately your spirit. Okay, and that's wicked. Okay, that's wicked as hell. You know, Jake be having that envious, weird spirit, man. Okay, which that's all part of the curses. That's why I brought out what I brought out. So Salakia, you know, I wasn't putting in words right. So let's just flow now. Lord willing, be smoother for the rest of the lesson. You know, so forgive me on that. Get these scripts. Close out, man. I hate when I do that. I be passing it. Tripping. This is Hosea chapter 4. And the Lord keep making me think it. So I'm gonna just briefly paraphrase it. They declare their sins as Sodom and Gomorrah. Let me see if I get it. I don't know if I'm spelling it right. Isaiah 3. This is Isaiah 3 in verse 8, and it reads, "For Judah is ruined, and Judah is fallen, because their tongue and their doings are against the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, to provoke the eyes of his glory." That's right, man. You know, the Lord's not with this hyper emotional men. Okay, because that's what it is. A lot of these game banging niggas is emotional, you know, and I can speak on it because, and a lot of brothers too, especially from California. I'm, the funny part is, that's why I probably wanted to do it too, because I'm out here in Cali through the Spirit of Prayer about my shy, and this obviously happened in Cali, man. That gang culture, man. In reality, and that's why I was going to say in the beginning, there's some real killers, that's they just born into that shit, and that's their lot. That's what I was trying to say, I just didn't like how it's coming out, because, that don't really matter, because it's all wicked, but, and I was going to say the ones that force it, those be the clowns, man. Okay. But, let's continue though. Isaiah 3 and verse 8 again. For Jerusalem is ruined and Judah is fallen, because their tongue and their doings are against the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, to provoke the eyes of his glory. All right. And like I said, the Lord's not with this gang banging shit, man. Okay. That shit is part of the curses. The real enemy is Esau, Edom. Okay. And these other fucking nations, the one that's confederate against thee. Okay. The scripture says, let us therefore cut them off from being a nation. Okay. Those are our true enemies, man. Isaiah 3 and verse 9, the show of their countenance doeth witness against them, and they declare their sin as Sodom that hide it not. Woe unto their soul, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. Okay, so we're not out here just talking shit just to be talking shit, man. You want to be a game banger, you want to be a wicked individual, well, you reap what you sow. You live by the gun, you die by the gun. Everybody knows, even worldly, you don't know, you don't even need the truth to hear this and know this. There's like two results, be dead or in jail, okay? Or just be a complete nigga and be a sellout, in Esau system. Those are only routes, okay? And really, in reality, you jakes are really losers. You couldn't stand for Yahweh Shem Shai and his will, okay? Because his will ultimately is for you jakes to get right with him, all right? But on the same note, everybody got a lot to play and role to play, So if you don't want to get right, Yahweh Shem Shai, like I said before, more room for me, more I'll leave it as that, it's a lot. How the fuck are people, man? Damn, I tried to do it before people came back. Isaiah 3 in verse 10, say ye to the righteous that it shall be well with him, for they shall eat the fruit of their doings. Yeah, that's right, man. The scriptures told us to be holy, be separate from this world. We not out here moving. I say moving like gang bangers. Since we're talking about this is the lesson. At the end of the day, man, the Lord just wants you to be since I'm talking about this, I'm gonna say this, man. Checking a individual coming to your so-called neighborhood, that doesn't make you a real man. Okay, at the end of the day, serving Yahweh Shem Shai and taking care of your business is what makes you a real man. All right, since I'm talking about this topic with this game banging shit, man. And so with that being said, that's why Hosea 4 and 6 says what it says. For our people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Okay, which I didn't get, but I'm gonna get it after this. Our people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Okay, our people ultimately, at the end of the day, they go they go off every impulsive intrusive thought. Okay, that's why we tell you so-called Negroes, I tell the Americans that, hey, this is a spiritual battle. Oh no, okay, our battle is spiritual warfare. I'm gonna get that after this. I'm gonna flow in the spirit. Isaiah 3, because at the end of the day, we're teachers. Isaiah 3 and verse 11, woe unto the wicked, it shall be ill with him, for the reward of his hands shall be given him. As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee, cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy paths. So we could stop right there on that, man. Beautiful, man. Our people are through. What was the one I just thought of? Fuck, man, these brains, bro. Damn, I lost it that quick. I'm just going to Hosea 4 and 6. I quoted it too. It's a fucking demon, bro. Hosea 4 and verse 6. And it reads, and as long as it's edifying, that's all that matters. So forgive me. Let's get it. Hosea 4 and verse 6. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. That's why Jeremiah 6 and 16 says what it says, man. Okay? You know, the script, what it say? Seek ye the old path, where is the good way, and find rest for your souls. You know, that's why the scriptures also say, you know, that be in, does it say that be in trouble, rest with us? Okay? You know, we're paraphrasing. And at the end of the day, if you so-called Negro Latino American, goes for me first. I say this to myself first and foremost. At the end of the day, we're all in fucking trouble, man. You know, because we don't know. At the end of the day, it goes back to the elect. We don't know if we are part of the elect. Okay? You know, but, you know, we see a lot of our people, the way they move and conduct themselves, they're reprobates, man. You know, like these gang banging ass niggas, man. Those are some that is a reprobate, man. That nigga's a reprobate. You know, even a nigga in the car is a damn reprobate, man. Okay, you know, but you know, he at least he not on that evil eye towards our brother bullshit. No, you know, I could tell that Jake, that's the type of Jake he wouldn't do that weird ass mean mugging bullshit, man. You know, there's certain Jakes out there. Oh,